Whoa, what is going on here? Dougie's doing a full card prediction video. Dougie never does full card prediction videos. I know. Today we are going to be covering every single fight on UFC Vegas 90. And why? Because UFC is a little quiet right now. We're leading into UFC 300. Everything's done and dusted. We've had some fight announcements. Things are a little bit quiet. I thought, why not? Even though this video is probably going to get 20 views, let's do a full card prediction video. I never get to do them. Why not do one today? Let's have some fun. I do want to say though, before we get into this full card prediction video, very, very quickly, if you have been hanging around the world of MMA, you know this insult. It gets thrown around in every single MMA conversation ever. You are a casual. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have been hanging around the UFC for the first quarter of 2024, if you are sitting down watching every single fight of every single card from the prelims to the main events of what we've gotten in the first quarter of 2024, you are not a casual, okay? You are a MMA hardcore fan. If you are sitting around to watch this absolute swamp of MMA fights we are getting leading up to UFC 300 that have been taken by UFC 299, the couple that have been sprinkled on UFC 301. When we are, don't listen to the old gray beards with their faded tap out beanies, okay, from back in the day, all right? Just because you don't remember every single combination that was thrown by Robbie Lawler against Donald Cerrone doesn't mean you're not a hardcore. If you're here in 2024 watching this dog's breakfasts of cards that we're getting, you are a modern day MMA hardcore. We are going to be talking about these times for years to come. Remember back in the day around UFC 300 when we were getting just dog shit cards week after week? That's what we're going to be getting. But let's get right into this. A full card prediction of UFC Vegas 90. If we were naming cards again like we used to do it back in the day, this one would be called UFC Apex. We're here because of contract negotiations. The TV schedule says we have to be here, so here we are. Here's a card. Let's get into it. The very first fight on the card is Dylan Budaka versus Cesar Almeida. I'm going to be butchering these names. Enjoy the show. Dylan Budaka, right? He's a wrestler. Cesar Almeida, he's a striker. If Dylan Budaka doesn't spam takedowns and grapples in this fight, he has no fight IQ, which is dangerous when you're picking fights, right? Because now we're just guessing who is the smarter cage fighter. And it's cage fighting, you know? So what are you going to do? This is a classic, brand new, glorified, great kickboxer coming over into the UFC against someone who is a wrestler. So you have to know that, you know, American wrestling fans, if this guy can't out wrestle the kickboxer, your sport is not worth that much, is it? He should be able to out wrestle the kickboxer. So now it just comes down to, is Dylan going to have the fight IQ to just keep marabbing those takedowns at him? I think he will. And if he does, if he actually wants to win his first official UFC fight, he is going to be spamming takedowns at Cesar Almeida. He is going to be winning this fight if he has a brain. Jan Nascimento from Brazil, I guess. Jan Nascimento from Brazil against Dan Argueta. Oh, Jesus, contender fights. Contender kids again. Okay, Dan Argueta, right, has the will to win. He will do whatever it takes, right? Dan Argueta is the wrestler. He's the bigger guy. Nascimento, he's well-rounded, but he's just a little bit smaller in the fight. Like, he's just a little bit undersized when it comes to going up against Dan Argueta. With this one, you could literally flip a coin. This one could go either way, but I'm going to go with Dan Argueta just based on the size, you know, just based on being a little bit more physically imposing when it comes to the fight, right? Then the next one down, Alatong Ali versus Victor Hugo. I'm a massive Alatong Ali fan, right? I know he's not the best UFC fighter on the roster, but there's just something about the scrap in the kid that I really like about Alatong Ali. I think it's because Alatong can get the piss beaten out of him but still not give up, which I absolutely love to see in a fighter. Like, Alatan is fun, but when you press him, when you come at him, you are going to beat him up. You are going to beat him. And it's because of that even though I love Alatang Lee and I'm going to be rooting for him, I would be picking Victor Hugo to actually be able to pressure Alatang and win that fight just through the sheer striking, the come at him striking that Victor Hugo is going to be able to oppose on Alatang Lee. Moving on to the next fight is I can't believe I'm saying this, Court McGee is still in the UFC. Court McGee versus Alex Morono. Look, Court McGee, thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you. But he's got to be pushing like 80, 85 or something like that. I think Alex Morono is going to be able to slowly, over the course of the fight, piece up Court McGee, right? And then Court McGee is going to start working his grappling. He's going to try and like push the fight up against the cage. And it's really going to come down to whether or not Alex Morono is going to be able to work him off the cage in that grappling situation. Like, once this fight heats up, Alex Morono is going to be pressing Court McGee. Court McGee is going to be using those years of fight experience to start to make this a messy phone box fight, and then it's going to end up as like a grappling Muay Thai exchange up against the side of the cage. In that moment, that's going to decide the fight, right? Is Alex Morono going to be able to peel him off, work himself back into space, and then end up fighting off Court McGee, piecing him up? I think Alex Morono is going to be winning this by a sloppy TKO somewhere towards the end of the second, start of the third round. That's the way that I see this fight going down. Next fight, as I cover every single fight on UFC Vegas 90. Every single fight. I'm not skipping a single one. Every fight is going down in this video. Trevor Peek versus Charlie Campbell. This one is actually going to be a fun, scrappy banger of a fight. Look out for the ancient martial art of running in and swinging windmill shots from Trevor Peek, right? Charlie Campbell, very well-rounded, good ability fighter, great skills, yeah? He's very good. Charlie Campbell is a very good fighter. But Kevin Peek is Nate the Train, right? There are two Nate the Trains in the UFC, and I'm peeking on Peek. He's just messy, and I love it. And while I do believe that Charlie Campbell is the better fighter, I can't get it. I can't not back Trevor Peek in this fight. He is that old school. He should have been in the UFC in 2002, right? He's going to be, as he walks into the arena, oh wait, there's no crowd. Fuck it. I was going to say he'll steal someone's old tap-out hoodie, but it's at the fucking Apex again. Trevor Peek's going to win. Get peeking with me, boys. Pop one and let's peek together. Trevor Peek for the win. Right, moving on. Covering every single fight of the card. Lucas Bresky versus Johnny Walker's big brother. Big brother. Johnny Walker's big brother. He's going to win. Bresky sucks. Moving on to the next fight of the card. Ignacio Bahamandos. Ignacio Bahamandos versus Christos Giagos. How do you like that? Ignacio, he's a very, very rangy striker, very tall, but oh man, is that the new meta in the UFC? Put that down there in the comments. Is the new meta in the UFC being a tall, rangy striker, and Ignacio's no takedowns at all? He can stop them, but I don't think he knows how to throw a takedown at all. Even if you gave him a UFC 5 controller, he probably would not know the button combination to actually get a takedown, right? So this fight is not so much of how good is Christos Giagos, but it's more of a how good is Ludovic Klein at his takedowns. It's more how good is Ludovic Klein really? That's what this fight says, right? Because Ignacio has great takedown defense all the way up until Ludovic Klein. So I'm going to assume that he's going to be able to continue to have good takedown defense after that, if not a little bit better, being shown that there are holes in his takedown game. I hope that makes sense. So as much as Christos Giagos is going to bring it to Ignacio Bahamondes, I do think Ignacio is going to be winning this fight. I'm going to be going with Ignacio Bahamondes. Moving on to the next fight as I cover every single fight on UFC Vegas 90. Morgan Shari versus Chepe Mariscal. How am I going with the names? Put it down there in the comments. Right, the French, Morgan Shari. The French have one warrior in their entire history, and it's Benoit Saint-Denis. And even then, that has to be questioned because Benoit Saint-Denis claims that he lost his last fight because of staph infection, while JDM won his last fight with staph infection and a broken arm. So even their best warrior isn't even close to being Australian on their worst day. So because of that, because of just the soyness and how romantic the French are, I'm going to be going with Chepe Mariscal. He's going to be getting this one done. He's going to be continuing to put a win streak together. It's going to be three in a row for Chepe Mariscal. Moving on. Alexander Hernandez. Jesus Christ in heaven. Really? Already? Alexander Hernandez versus Damon Jackson. Alhamdulillah, brothers. This is a co-main event. This is a co-main event for the UFC on ESPN. After being in business for 30 years, this is the co-main event that we're getting. Alexander Hernandez versus Damon Jackson. Hernandez is cutting too much weight. He's trying to save his career by moving down a weight class. It's not going to work out for him. Damon Jackson is going to take him down. He's going to hold him down for 15 minutes. And by the end of the fight, you might actually see the MMA Guru delete his channel. You pray for the Guru to get through this fight, because this fight, this co-main event on ESPN, we're competing against every other sport in the world, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what we're putting up on a Saturday night as the second best fight that is available to us this week in the UFC. That is over 700 athletes. One Friday Fights is on for free on YouTube. Go watch it. Anyway, this fight is going to be boring as shit in an empty arena after a long fucking night of questionable decisions and bad refereeing. Hernandez is cutting too much weight. It's going to be a dog shit grappling match. It's going to kill the vibe. The three people in the Apex that paid $2,000 per seat are going to be sleeping on those comfy fucking couches. God knows what Dana White does on those couches. Jesus help us all get through these cards. UFC 300, one more week to go, guys. One more week to go. And then moving on to the main event. Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen. Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen 2. Why are we here? Because we have a TV contract that we need to get through, and Marvin Vettori couldn't make it. Chris Curtis is a sook. He's a whinger, right? He beat Brendan in the past off a punch. Good on him. Well done. He got a win. He is coming off short notice again. I think he came off short notice the first time. Brendan Allen is coming off like 5 in a row since then. Brendan Allen is going to out-grapple Chris Curtis early in the first 2 rounds. And then once Chris Curtis is a little bit gassed out, then he will start to stand with him and choose to bang with him. And after that first 10 minutes of grappling, Chris Curtis is going to be just annoyed, sooky, whingy. He's not going to be able to see through the tears. He's going to be making mistakes. Brendan Allen's going to be able to draw it out into a much longer fight, end up winning on decision. Chris Curtis is going to throw a hissy fit, say that Brendan Allen was too scared to actually fight him. And that's the way it's going to go down. It's going to be a bit of an uneventful main event, followed by an uneventful co-main event. We're going to be in tears after this one, but then it's on to UFC 300, and we can actually start UFC 2024. We can actually get rolling again. Hopefully get some better fights booked. Just hashtag cancel the Apex. If we see the Apex in 2025, we riot officially. We go to the Apex. in Minecraft and we set up fire staffs around it in Minecraft. Okay, that rain is starting to get real loud. I'm not sure if you can even hear me anymore. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. And of course, I will see you all in the next one.